For most of the game, it may appear that the Central Powers have the upper hand, or at least a victory point advantage, but do not fall into confusion as time is on your side. First, consider Russia. Despite Russia's impressive infantry reserves and two decent offensive event cards, the best option for Russia is what I call a flexible defense. With level 2 entrenchments in Dvinsk, Minsk, Zometir, and Kamenets-Podilsky, Russia would have the wherewithal to mount an effective drain on CP resources at minimal cost to the Allied cause. The Central Powers would be forced to complete the high opportunity cost playthrough to Brest-Litovsk. After that, they'll still need to cover all of the frontal sites of a very fluid theater. Again, mind the hourglass and play your offensive strategically. For example, after the CP Ops replacement play of Fall-Azar, play these offensives. There are 5 discrete activity theaters in this game: the Western Front, the Alpine Front, the Eastern Front, and the Near East and the Balkans. The Central Powers have the ability to adequately engage on 4 of these fronts. It is very likely that either the Balkans or the Near East will be the untended front. If there are quite a few non-Turkish corps in the Near East, then it's best to open up the Balkan front with the Army of the Orient. Don't let the memory of the Battle of Adrianople scare you into forcing Germany to forego Bismarck's dictum: the whole of the Balkans is not worth the life of a single Pomeranian grenadier. The historical wavelength for an Adrianople redux was still at least a century away during World War I. Don't play Greece unless you are ahead on the victory point track and need the war status. Allenby's army is the first industrial age army to debut in the Middle East. As noted before, industrial warfare is highly resource intensive, requiring the Sinai pipeline in this version of events. It may seem that Lawrence's irregulars have little to do. However, without their hit-and-run tactics, Turkey can mount an effective defense against Allenby. With the Arab Northern Army, Turkey has to spread their forces too thin to guard their fragile armies, all the while thinking that joining the Central Powers was the worst nation-state decision ever. Now a more competent cartel gets to tap Aladdin's lamp and get their wishes granted without considering the costs. Now onto the Western Front. Proper card alignment is essential, and Central Power play of U-Boats Unleashed can wreak havoc on your plans unless you have your convoy event ready. The arrival of the United States represents more than just fresh troops. These were proto-World War II formations utilizing shock tactics to undermine the trenches. It was more about exquisite choreography than the combined arms that was in vogue a year later. Tanks and airplanes are nice, but it will be the higher firepower and replacements that will keep you from being second best. Before the armistice, be sure to cement Anglo-American duplicity with Wilson's 14 points for the negative VP. Thinking that we have recovered, the procession will lurch on as a storm is slowly brewing.